America is facing an unprecedented health crisis. Neurological disorders, ADHD, autism, metabolic diseases, and cancers, particularly those of the brain, are skyrocketing. While mainstream narratives attempt to place the blame on genetics, diet, or environmental pollution, one critical factor continues to be ignored: wireless radiation. This crisis is not a natural evolution of disease patterns. It is a direct result of congressional action. The 1996 Telecommunications Act, specifically Section 704, gagged local communities, stripped away constitutional rights, and protected telecom profits at the expense of human lives. Congress, not industry, is responsible. The industry would naturally evolve toward safer technology, but Congress ensured that there would be no regulatory checks, no updated research, and no ability to challenge the reckless expansion of wireless radiation infrastructure. The result? A country with the highest chronic disease rates despite the most advanced medical systems in the world? Section 704 of the 1996 Telecommunications Act explicitly prohibits state and local governments from blocking the placement of wireless infrastructure based on health concerns. This law effectively silences public debate, making it illegal to cite health risks when challenging a cell tower next to a school or playground. This is a First Amendment violation, preventing communities from citing peer-reviewed science in local zoning disputes. It also violates the 10th Amendment, stripping states and municipalities of the power to regulate public health in their own jurisdictions. The only beneficiaries of this law? The telecom industry and its captured regulators. This law didn't just pave the way for technological growth, it created a health crisis. Non-thermal microwave radiation exposure, the invisible danger. For years, telecom companies and regulatory agencies have claimed that wireless radiation is safe because it does not produce significant heating effects. But overwhelming scientific research shows that biological damage occurs well below thermal thresholds. Neurological disorders. Wireless radiation exposure is associated with increased rates of ADHD, autism, and cognitive impairment in children. Cancer risks. The National Toxicology Program's $30 million study found clear evidence of cancer, yet funding for further research was immediately cut. Metabolic disruption studies show that microwave radiation interferes with cellular metabolism, leading to obesity, diabetes, and hormonal imbalances. Mitochondrial dysfunction. The energy-producing centers of our cells are damaged by constant RF exposure, contributing to fatigue and neurodegeneration. These aren't fringe theories. They are well-documented, peer-reviewed scientific conclusions that Congress has chosen to ignore. Congressional negligence, the real cause of America's health decline. The telecom industry may profit from dangerous technology, but Congress is responsible for allowing it to happen. Congress ensured that no public health studies would interfere with telecom expansion. Congress allowed the FCC to set health standards, despite the FCC not being a health agency. Congress ignored federal law, which mandates continuous research into radiation safety. Congress enabled the suppression of the National Toxicology Program's findings. Congress ensured telecom companies could place high-powered transmitters next to schools and homes with no legal opposition. This is not regulatory oversight. This is intentional, systemic negligence. The FCC's role in regulatory capture. The FCC's RF exposure limits are based on 1980s radar data, ignoring thousands of peer-reviewed studies showing biological harm at non-thermal levels. In 2021, a federal court ruled that the FCC failed to justify its outdated safety limits, yet Congress has not forced them to act. Public Law 9602, which legally mandates continuous evaluation of radiation safety, has been deliberately ignored by the FCC and FDA. Why? The FCC is staffed by former telecom executives, ensuring that corporate profits override public safety. The WHO still classifies RF radiation as possibly carcinogenic, Group 2B, but fails to take action due to industry lobbying and political pressure. Congress is complicit in this fraud. Instead of protecting public health, it has protected the profits of telecom giants. Solutions: how we reclaim our health and our rights. The 3 essential steps for change. First, repeal Section 704 of the Telecommunications Act. Americans must be free to challenge RF infrastructure on health grounds. Local governments must regain zoning authority. Next, enforce Public Law 9602. The FDA, FCC, and EPA must be held accountable for their legal obligation to update RF safety standards. Finally, restore funding to NTP wireless research. Advocate for safer technology by shifting to leafy, satellite-based telecom and beamforming antennas. Ban cell towers near schools and residential areas. Final thoughts. Congress must be held accountable. RF radiation is not an unavoidable risk of technological progress. It is a manufactured crisis created by congressional negligence and corporate corruption. If the United States has the highest rates of chronic illness, neurological disorders, and metabolic disease despite being the wealthiest nation on Earth, Congress is to blame. Congress enacted laws that made scientific research irrelevant. Congress enabled the FCC to set public health policy despite having no medical expertise. Congress ensured that Section 704 removed any local power to fight against dangerous cell tower placements. Congress has allowed chronic illness to become the norm, not because of natural causes, but because of their deliberate refusal to act. The path forward. Congress must repeal unconstitutional laws, enforce existing public health mandates, and force the FCC to adopt medical-grade safety standards. We are not just fighting for policy change, we are fighting for the health and future of every American. Enough is enough. Visit RF Safe to learn more.